Joining me now on set is George Stahl from Dow Jones Newswires. George, thanks so much for being here,
no
especially during lunchtime. I'm probably pretty hungry at this point. But I have some apples for you, if that helps. All right.
Oh, at least get me through the segment.
Okay, great. Tell us a little bit about what Apple has settled.
They settled a suit over the name iPad, which had been going on in China with a company called ProView. And Apple agreed to pay $60 million to basically get this suit to go away, which is chump change for Apple. Apple last quarter made $156 million of cash flow every day. So this is less than half a 1 day's worth of cash flow for Apple just to remove this taint of the iPad name.
Right. So nominal fee for sure. Tell us a little bit about ProView. We know that they're a China-based computer monitor maker.
Exactly,
correct?
and they've made products through the years, and years ago they had come up with the name iPad in China and had gotten the rights for that. Apple had thought that it had gotten the rights from ProView a few years ago before it started its iPad launch.
It thought it did, or it said it did? Okay.
Well, it actually, obviously, it claimed it did, and claimed that it had done it. But what ProView said was, oh yes, you got the rights from this one ProView, but there's actually a different ProView in China called ProView Szechuan. They really have the rights. You have to go through them to get the rights, and that's where the dispute was which ProView had the rights and which one had Apple made the agreement with, and did it make the agreement with the right one. This went through lots of cases, and in the end, Apple, as we said, agreed to pay $60 million to basically get done with it.
Right, settled in the high court of Guangdong in China. Now, we're talking a little bit about how this is obviously not a lot of money for a company like Apple.
But it's still a big deal for them. Because,
and tell us why.
Because China is the second biggest market for Apple outside of the U.S. They get about 12% of their revenue from China. So while people questioned the strength of the case, nonetheless, it was an overhang for Apple and for its ability to distribute its products in China. So this removes that issue for Apple and lets them to tap into that market more freely.
Right. Now the cloud has gone from over the company's head. It can proceed selling iPads under the name iPad, although we're not really sure if there's a question if it ever would not be the iPad. Apple, of course, no stranger to litigation. There's a lot of other stuff going on right now with Samsung. Apple just won an injunction to keep the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, a Google Android phone, out of the states. Correct? Tell us the details of that.
Yeah, and this is a really interesting deal because this is Samsung's big phone to attack the iPhone, and it's gotten a lot of publicity. They've done a lot of ads for it. Late Friday, Apple won an injunction to halt sales of that phone in the U.S. a week before Apple had gotten an injunction against the tablet. And in both these cases, Apple was able to make the argument that not only would they lose sales, but they would have irreparable harm from the sales of these Samsung products in the U.S., and they were able to convince a judge that. So it's interesting that the two products that are seen as the biggest threats right now to the iPad, iPhone, Apple's had some success in halting their advancements in the U.S. for now.
Now turning to the consumer for a moment, what does that mean for consumers in the U.S. that are already in possession of these electronic devices?
Well, if you already have it, it's not a problem.
Is there any issue with continued support or anything like that?
Not with support, but if you're looking to go out and get it, you're going to have a tough time finding it because companies and stores aren't going to be able to replenish their supplies as easily.
Right.